What's going on, guys? Today we are working on my R32 Skyline, and one of the major things that I need to do to this car is the headlights. The factory halogen lights on this car are very dim. It is a 90s car, so you just can't really see that well. So just for demonstration, I'm gonna turn it on. It's broad daylight out, so you're not really gonna see how dim they are, but you will be able to see the color of what they look like and stuff. So I'll turn it on, that way you can get an idea of what it looks like, and I'll show you the conversion kit that I have. Let me turn on the headlights real quick. So you guys can see that, again, I know it's light out, but you can see the color. At night, you guys will just have to believe me. These lights do not illuminate that well. I think I have an old video from my phone that I could throw on the screen right now. But yes, I will be super happy to change these things out. So without further ado, let me pop the hood, turn the lights off, and show you what kit that I have. The kit that I decided to go with is from HID Nation, I believe. I went with the 8000K 55 watt HID ballast. I like HID, or not like HIDs. I like 8000K just because it gives it that like nice blue tint. I'm not really a fan of like the crystal clear white light. My 350Z has the 8000K, and I just think it looks pretty nice. So it's a really simple kit. It's actually already kind of like wired together right now. The only thing that I have to do differently is when I unplug the lights on the car, these two wires are actually going to plug into the stock ballast. So I'm gonna see if this setup is gonna work, and if it does, then great. If not, then I'll figure out something else, but this is what I decided to go with, so just wanted to show you guys that. The other ballast is on the ground. So let's go ahead and unplug one of the lights and plug one in, and I'll just make sure that everything works how it should, and we'll go from there. So one of the other things I need to do before we take off this headlight ballast is, as you can see, my battery is not tied down. I need to buy a battery brace because it never came with the brace that goes from here to hold the battery. So that will be next on the list, so I don't want you guys to say anything about that. I already know I have that on order. But to get to the headlights, it's actually this little connector right here, so it's super easy. I'm just gonna try to unplug it really quick if I can. Yep, like that. So this right here is the connector that I was saying. So we need to figure out which one is which, and yeah, we're gonna plug it into our little ballast here, and I'll just make sure that the light turns on outside before we start plugging stuff up, and then if it does, we should be good to go. So let me do that right now. All right, so I'm just gonna lay this here, and just by looking at this, there is a red wire, so I'm assuming that is gonna be the positive. So with that being said, we are going to put the red one into that. So it is a little ghetto rigged, and then we're gonna put the black on the other side. And theoretically, this light should just turn on right now because we have everything else plugged in. So as long as this light turns on right now, then we did everything right.
Yay.
And it's on. So that's what it's gonna look like, and it's gonna be super sick. So let me get the old bulb out of there, put that in, and yeah, this install is really easy. For Skylines, R32 Skyline specifically, there's 3 types of headlights. You have projector style, which is what I have. There's another version of the projector style. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. I'll put it on the screen. And then there's also one called N1. The N1s take HIDs the easiest, but at least for the projector styles, the ones that I have, there's not any information online about like what bulbs to get, what ballast to get, like what's gonna work. So I'm pretty much doing the hard work for you. I kind of figured this out. So when you come look at the bulb, these are H3C bulbs. H3C is the name, and you can see that it kind of has like an indentation on the bottom and at the top, bottom and top here. So they're the same exact style. So this theoretically should sit in there just like factory, we'll call it. The only difference is instead of it having a plug on the back like this one, you have like this whole ballast attached. And the only thing that you need to do is just put your 2 connectors into the actual connector in here like that. But other than that, everything should sit in here just how it did. All right guys, so I have everything wired in. I'll show you how I have it, but for right now, for reference, I want to show you the HID versus the halogen. So let me turn them on real quick. Guys, look at the difference. Look at the difference. This one is a lot more blue, of course. This is a regular halogen bulb. Yeah, this one is really, really sick. The only thing I don't like about HIDs is if you come over here, you can see that there's a bunch of wiring, you know, that goes with it. So you have a lot more stuff as well as like a little ballast down there. So I do need to like mount that so it doesn't move around and whatnot. But other than that, the result is a lot better. I really am really happy about that. And I'm excited to now drive this car at night because I was nervous before. You know, I couldn't really see that well. The only other thing I want to do is these little corner lights right here. I guess, I don't know if they're not daytime running lights. I don't know what they are, but I want to change those out to LEDs too. That way just everything looks more modern. But for right now, they're fine. So let me go ahead and do that one. And yeah, this job will basically be complete. So I'll leave what I used in the description. I'm not sponsored by HID Nation or anything like that by any means, but I do want to help my Skyline guys out and just people out in general. So if HID Nation, if you're watching this video, sponsor your boy because yeah, I'm helping everybody out for free. All right guys, both lights are completely installed. I just need to do some little bit of wire tucking and stuff like that, but let me go ahead and cut on the lights really quick so you guys can see. What do you guys think, man? I think it makes a hell of a difference. Like I said, don't look at that. That's gonna be changed soon, but I cannot wait to drive this thing at night now, like having some nice, you know, modern lights and whatnot. And it's just crazy because again, there's no information online about how to HID swap your projector headlights. So again, I'll leave everything in the description below, but that's pretty much everything I wanted to do right now in this section of the video. You guys can smash a like for me, and if you have a Skyline, comment below. What Skyline do you have? The car, and I want to show you what the headlights look like at night. So if I flick this thing on right now, look how blue that is. So sick. And then in combination with the LED cluster, I still have not wiped it off, but I promise I will do that. But yeah, headlights are a lot better. Now, one of the things that I do want to point out about these headlights, the projector style headlights that is I don't know how well you guys can tell, but they are pointing to the left a little bit, and apparently that is the natural direction to where these things point. That's one of the reasons why people opt to just go ahead and get these headlights retrofitted, just that way they kind of point more straight. For me right now, I'm not sure of the direction that I'm gonna go with the headlights right now, so the HIDs are fine for me because I can see a lot better, but it is something that I've noticed that you can just see that they're pointed a little more to the left, but it doesn't bother me. I'm sure it doesn't really blind anybody, and it is only the low beams. The high beams are the factory high beams, so they are still the halogens. We have a low 350 ahead of us, but yeah, I just figured I would show you guys that just for the people who may be interested. So if you do HID swap your projector style Skyline headlights, just be aware that they will point to the left a little bit, and that is that's natural. So it is what it is. But you guys cannot tell me that this thing does not look way better than it did before with the halogens in there. I don't know, I'm a fan. Gives it a more modern look and all that. So cool. Anyways, back to the video. So I wasn't gonna show the process of this, but I figured I might as well update you guys on this car. I am starting to work on my 2JZ swapped Nismo 370Z once again. I'm in the process of repinning this entire harness from the ECU Master ECU to a Haltech. So I want to take a few steps back for some people who might not know. I ended up swapping a 2JZ in this car, and originally I bought a universal engine harness with a EMU black. That is an ECU Master black ECU. Turns out that universal harness didn't really work that well in the car, so I opted to buy a brand new Wiring Specialties engine harness that was made specifically for a EMU black. But I am no longer running that ECU because I have been having a lot of complications, so I switched over to a Haltech. I took it upon myself to try and rewire the harness to the Haltech ECU, but it's a little confusing just because a lot of the pins that, or at least the labels of what these things were called, aren't really used on the Haltech. So I'm having a lot of trouble. I do have my entire pinout of like where everything goes, etc. But it still doesn't really make it any easier. So I think I've just come to the conclusion that I'm gonna yank this engine harness out of this car, ship it back to Wiring Specialties, and tell them that, hey, I bought a Haltech Elite 2500, wire my harness for this ECU and just make it plug and play for me. That way I don't kind of end up in the same situation where I was previously. If you guys have been following, you know that the old harness looked really janky, and this is honestly starting to look the same. It's not as bad because there's no frayed wires. There's just, you know, these pins here that are loose, but I don't want it to look terrible, and honestly I don't want to confuse myself anymore. I just think that I should go ahead and pay a professional to get this thing dialed back in. That way I can get it back, run it how I had it, and plug everything in, and we should be good to go as far as this car. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and work on taking this entire engine harness out and shipping it out to them. And guys, I really don't want to do this just because you see how tight this engine bay is, and there's not a lot of room. So it is going to be a bit tricky to get this thing out, but I know we can do it. Yeah, pray for me, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I want to take off this new valve cover because I do not want to scratch this thing. This thing is absolutely fresh and brand new. The old valve cover, however, is hung up on its resting wall forever. So we're gonna take this off so we don't scratch that. And yeah, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started and start unplugging everything. Guys, it is much later and I have the full engine harness out of this car. So like I mentioned in the beginning, we are going to be shipping this thing off to Wiring Specialties, which is where this harness is from originally, and they are just going to be repinning the harness for my Haltech Elite 2500. So that way when I get it back, all of this will be cleaned up. I can go ahead and throw it back in and route it how I had it to make everything as nice and neat as possible. It's crazy to think that this is actually probably like the third or fourth time that I'm doing this, as far as like taking the harness out and rerouting stuff. And again, man, this thing is super tight. I do not have a lot of room to route this harness and stuff, and once I kind of had it situated in there, I was hoping that it was going to be stuck in there, but it is what it is. It's the name of the game, and luckily I know kind of where everything goes, so that's a plus. But yeah, go ahead and wrap this video up. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this video. Decided to come down to a little Skyline meet. Got all these Skylines over here. Got the fam over there. R32 GTR with the Volk wheels. Super sick. We actually saw this car yesterday just driving around our area, so it's pretty cool. And this thing's a V-Spec, which is really sick. And you got my old girl right here, R32. Nothing crazy yet. R32 GTR. ABS wheels. N1 headlights, and actually now you guys can see the difference. So this is an N1 headlight compared to my projector style. You can see how it has like the projector right here in the middle, whereas that one does not have that. So that is the difference. But yeah, super cool. This meat's not too big. Oh, actually I forgot, these are the Ganadors too, and these are authentic Ganadors, which is sick. Super sick. Got the painted valve cover. Most of these are actually pretty stock, owners are telling me. So got the RB20E, so the single cam. You definitely don't see this every day. This one's probably great on gas. But yeah, and then also he was telling me about the 5-lug conversion, on like what I need to do and everything, especially to keep my e-brake, because a lot of times when you 5-lug convert your car, you really no longer have an e-brake. But he told me exactly what I need to do, so that's sick. And then lastly, you have a 32 GTR, big single turbo. And yeah, so just want to show you guys a couple cars here at this meet. Looks so dope though. Absolutely sick. Can't wait for this to eventually look like how I want it to, man. Crazy. Action. It's like